Hi, I'm Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard Paint, and today we're going to be talking about fertilizers. I've got a lot around me, both organic and non-organic or chemical fertilizers as well, and we're going to discuss what to use and why to use them. But before I begin, I want to discuss the importance of actually fertilizing in summer. Of the 3 times a year, we've just put out a video where we discuss the importance of actually fertilizing 3 times a year, being spring, summer, and fall, and give your plants a break in the winter, as the plants, most of them do go in dormancy. And it's a time for both you as a gardener to take a break from fertilizing and a break from the plant and letting it rest. So winter is a time not to be fertilizing your plants, but of the 3 seasons, summer is the most important season to actually be fertilizing your plants. Everybody's usually careful and cautious when putting in their plants in the spring and amending the soil and fertilizing their plants and doing all the right things. But summer is when plants are at their peak. The reason I'm holding a globe here, and I'm going to show you here, is we're here in Los Angeles, California. So right here, defined by Los Angeles, and we are in the northern hemisphere, so above the equator. And for the first day of summer, which was June 20th or June 21st, it was the longest day, the solstice, the summer solstice. And the first day of summer is defined as the longest day of the year. We're talking about here in Los Angeles, 14 hours and 25 minutes of daylight. That's 14 hours and 25 minutes where the plants are making sugars. They're constantly active and supporting plant growth, flowering, fruiting, rooting, establishing their roots, expanding their trunks. They're doing so many different things, and summer is actually when the plants are the busiest. So be sure to make sure you actually fertilize your plants and feed them and take care of them, so that you can actually get them through the fall and the winter months. So this is a critical time to be fertilizing, and when actually picking a fertilizer, I want to make sure you pick the right stuff. I want to share a couple of things that are around us. For one, I've got here in front of me the stevia bush. If you take a look, go look at it. And if you haven't heard of it, it's a natural sweetener. You can actually just pick a couple of leaves and add it with your favorite herbal teas, and it'll naturally sweeten your tea. If you don't have the plant, I've actually got a packet of sugar here, which I can share with you. And this here is called Trivia, but you can also buy stevia. I've seen it labeled, so I guess this is one of the competitions. It shows ingredients. There's a sugar that they actually have added to it. And then here's the stevia leaf extract. So the fact that there's, what is that product here? It says erythritol. So I know that's actually another sugar. And over here it says it's nature's calorie-free sweetener. So hopefully it's all natural ingredients. But I know you can actually just get pure stevia plant in these packets as well. But just something to share with you. Other things I want to share as well in the garden before we get started is take a look at this avocado tree. You may notice that the roots are actually, the root stock is actually painted white. And we've used this product over here called Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard Paint. It says just add water. And it says it's a natural tree trunk and branch barrier, protection against damaging sunburn and insects and rodents. And it's for use on roses and fruit and nut trees and ornamental trees and shrubs. Non-toxic, environmentally safe, and organic. And what we've done with this, if you take a look here, is you'll see we've actually coated the tree trunk. Hopefully you can see that in the picture, like it's all coated in white. And then if you come a little closer, you can actually take a look at the leaves as well. So here we are next to, again, our Haas avocado. I just want to point out the tree trunk. As you can see, it's coated in white. And the white product, again, is the Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard Paint, which is here. And then we also, after we've added water to it and we've painted it onto the tree trunk, what we next did was we added a couple of teaspoons to a spray bottle, and you'll see some videos where we did this, and then we sprayed it on top of the leaves. And you can actually see the white spots that are actually on the plant. And the reason we did it, and hopefully you can see this leaf over here, is because we've had record summer hot days just a few weeks ago, and actually started burning the plant. This plant was completely wilted in the sun. We had about 105 degree summer days, and it was just too much. So we actually coated it, and it's actually performing well. It's still putting out a lot of new leaves and shoots, and eventually it's going to create a beautiful canopy which will shade the lower branches and tree trunks. Let me show you a couple other things while we're here. Take a look at this fig tree as well. And take a look, for every leaf it's got a fruit. For every leaf, a fruit. For every leaf, a fruit. All the way down. We've been growing this fig tree in our family for 3 generations. Actually, for 3. And take a look at this fig tree over here. You'll notice that for every leaf, there's a fruit. For every leaf, a fruit. All the way down. And for all of these dozens of branches behind me, it's probably supporting close to 1,000 figs. This is a green fig we've been growing in our family for about 3 decades. And we also did a video on how to propagate figs. You can actually find that in our video library by subscribing with Ivory Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard Paint. Let me show you a couple other things in the garden before we get started. Follow me. Actually, take a look here at the zucchinis. Take a look at how large these are. These are only about 3 days old. I'd say about 2 days ago it was about this size. 2 days later it's this size. So this is going to be ready for harvest today. Let me show you another plant over here as well. And take a look in there as well. A couple more zucchinis. One there, another one over here, and then this one will actually grow as soon as we cut those 2 out. And here we are next to one of our cuttings. This here is a Eureka lemon. This will actually, because it's a cutting and it's growing on its own rootstock, this plant will actually grow to anywhere from about 15 to 25 feet tall. And take a look at the tree trunk on this one. We've also coated it with the Ivory Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard Paint, color green. And take a look at this. Here we are next to our hibiscus flowers. Take a look at how beautiful, and what a beautiful tropical look we've got here in our garden as well. And again, the tree trunks painted Ivory Organics white. Again, it's protecting against sunburn, sun scald, any insects from getting into the wood, as well as gnawing rodents, which we actually occasionally get in the garden. Let's get started. So here we are now back at our location. We're now going to discuss the type of fertilizers and what fertilizers and how to fertilize your garden. What we've got here and next to me is I've got a fish fertilizer. I've got a product here made by Job's, which is another organic fertilizer. The fish fertilizer is organic. This product here is another organic product. Here's another organic product. And then I've got this product by Miracle Grow, which is a chemical product, not organic. And then I've got here this product made by Espoma, another organic product, and then I've got this Bandini non-organic chemical fertilizer as well. And I'm going to be discussing all of these momentarily. First thing I want to share with you, and let's do this, is fish fertilizer. And this here basically shows 5-1-1, and this basically means it's got 5% nitrogen, 1% phosphorus, and 1% potassium. The 5% helps with the greening. So here we are. We've got this Alaska is the manufacturer of this fish fertilizer, and it's a 5-1-1, meaning 5% nitrogen, 1% phosphorus, and 1% potassium. So I mean, these two numbers are pretty low, but the 5% nitrogen means your plants will actually grow tall and strong and green. But the 1% for the phosphorus, that middle number, controls the flowering and the fruits. And that last number is for disease resistance and stronger root development. So I would want something that's more of a balanced product. And the other thing too, when using fish fertilizers, I'm gonna try to hopefully find this for you, and it says over here is to apply. Hopefully you can read this with me. But apply every 3 weeks during the growing season at the recommended rates. So we're gonna have to apply this every 3 weeks. And the problem with using a liquid fertilizer such as this is it basically leaches out of the soil quite quickly, but not as much as the chemical fertilizer. So this is still superior. The other thing that your organic fertilizers are doing for you, is it's feeding your soil microorganisms. We just discussed in a video we just put out where we discussed just being in your garden, being out in your garden and breathing actually introduces additional carbon dioxide into the air. Your carbon dioxide is actually one of the ingredients for the plants to actually convert the carbon dioxide into oxygen and also helps the plants to make its sugars. So just being in your garden helps your plants. But something else that actually brings a large amount of carbon dioxide into the air is your soil organisms, more so than the birds, more so than the lizards, more so than all these larger creatures that you see. Is actually the bacteria that's in your soil, the fungi that's in your soil. All of the microorganisms that are in your soil is what you need to feed and help them thrive so that they can grow and get established and ultimately complete that symbiotic life cycle of supporting your plants and your plants' health. So what we're doing actually by basically, for example, we just talked about fish fertilizer, but by using this in your soil, you're actually feeding the earthworms, the bacteria, the nematodes, and all the other microorganisms that live in your soil, and helping them thrive, and they're in turn feeding and actually giving the plants the nutrients that they need to sustain a healthy and vigorous growing plant. The next thing I want to share with you is this, made by Jobs. This here is, so again, another organic fertilizer. It's got 50 spikes in here, and what I want to see is the percentages. Over here it says 2, 7, 4. So we know that this product, unlike the fish fertilizer, this product is specializing in phosphorus, which is actually for flower and fruit development. So that 2, 7, 4 means this is going to help your plants hold and support a lot of fruit and a lot of flowers. So whereas the 2 says very little nitrogen, and especially when you're in the middle of the growing season, especially in summer, we're trying to now focus on those fruits. So using a product like this might be actually superior. The other thing too being that it's, let me see if I can open this here for you as well. But being that it's actually not liquid, this here you can actually put in the ground. You basically inject it into the soil, and I'll do that here actually next to this avocado so you can see how this works. But you just basically take one of these and just push it into the soil as far as you can go. So that just went in the soil right there. I'll do another one for you in case you didn't see that in the video. So we'll just take another one, we'll pick another spot over here and just push that fertilizer right into the that root zone. The root zone is basically that area around the plant. As far as the branches are reaching, you can assume that the roots are actually doing exactly the same thing under the ground. So if the branches are reaching out about 2 to 3 feet, then assume the root zone is about 2 to 3 feet away from the center of the trunk. So you basically want to put, you can actually put these spikes into the soil. This is one way, and it actually feeds your plants for at least 3 months. So really, the product I've got here is actually made by Kellogg's, and let me actually bring this one to you. So this one here is made by Kellogg's. It says organic product for fruit trees and fertilizer, and it says it contains beneficial soil microbes. So they've actually added some beneficial bacteria to this, as well as mycorrhiza. And mycorrhiza are your fungi. And what fungus actually do is they actually run roots that can travel thousands of feet. Definitely more than hundreds, but I think it can go as far as 1,000 feet. And what they do is they network basically all of your plants in your garden. They actually help transport waters and nutrients throughout your garden. And it's an amazing phenomenon. But these actually, both your soil microbes as well as your mycorrhiza, should already be naturally existing in your soil. All you basically need is something that's organic, to add to your soil, and all the right things will actually come on its own. But this here basically says your nitrogen. This is a 4-5-4, so a very balanced fertilizer. 4% nitrogen, 5% phosphorus, and 4% potassium. And here it actually clearly shows where it's derived from. It says derived from bones and dried poultry manure and feather meal and kelp meal and alfalfa meal. So you can see it's derived from organic sources. You're actually putting this in your soil. We'll actually open this and I'll show you what this looks like as well. So you can take a look here, and and I hate it when I actually see people not wearing gloves, but we just read that it's got fungus and bacteria in here, on top of the fact that it's loaded with different types of manure. But this here is the product, and you can see that as you water it, it'll continuously break down the earthworms, the bacteria, all the soil microorganisms will be consuming it. But we'll add a couple handfuls around the tree. And then we're just going to rake that in a little bit, just into the top 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch of the soil. Keep in mind that about 80% of your plant's roots are right there in the top 2 feet of the soil. So by improving this top 1/4 inch of soil, you're actually getting all of the soil organisms. Imagine like the earthworms are actually coming from deep. The earthworms are coming up from deep. They're consuming this product and then they're taking it back down to the deepest part of the root ball. So by actually enriching the top 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch of soil, you're actually improving all of the soil. Again, by watering it and bringing those minerals down, but the living organisms that are in your soil are doing the same thing as well. Let me actually talk about the next product here. Here's another product made by Kellogg's. Organic Plus, Fish and Kelp Fertilizer, and the numbers on this is 222, meaning 2% nitrogen, 2% phosphorus, 2% potassium. Very well balanced product and something you can use again in your garden. What this one wants you to do, and hopefully you can read this, really small writing, says apply 1 to 2 times per week. My problem with this is, who's got the time to be in the garden 1 or 2 times a week? I'm actually out often, but not fertilizing my plants twice a week. This is a lot of work. So this is something you can actually use as a supplement, I would say, in your garden. It's, you know, it's got other sources of organic material that's in it, and I do believe you should actually be feeding your plants from a variety of different sources and not just using one product on your plant. So I still recommend it, but the fact you've got to apply it, you know, saying 1 to 2 times per week is a little bit too much work, especially for me and on my schedule, but maybe if you've got more time, it might work for you. But so this is 1 or 2 times per week. I'm trying to think about the next product that we've got here that I want to share with you that's organic, is made by Espoma. And this one here is a garden tone urban vegetable food. And again, we take a look at the side and it says 3-4-4, another balanced fertilizer, 3% nitrogen, 4% phosphorus, 4% potassium. You can actually see where it's derived from over here, derived from hydrolyzed feather meal, pasteurized poultry manure, bone meal, alfalfa meal, green sand, humate, sulfate of potash, and magnesium. So these are a few ingredients to consider. This here is also granular, so applying this to your soil will be very similar to this one that we just added. So these two are both granular, and once you add it to your soil, they're usually good for about 3 months. So we got that. And now here we are to the chemical fertilizers. The first one I've got, many people know, Miracle-Gro. And this one says feed every 7 to 14 days. So just like the other organic fertilizers we looked at, it requires continuous feeding. But the bad part about this product is it's derived from chemical sources. You can see total nitrogen made from urea nitrogen, ammoniacal nitrogen, phosphate, soluble potash, boron, copper. All these elements that plants need are derived from, and here it is, ammonium sulfate, potassium chloride, urea, phosphate, boric acid, copper sulfate, iron EDTA, magnesium EDTA, sodium molybdate, and zinc sulfate. So all of these things have basically been derived in a plant. Here we go. Here's another product that we've got. This one here is made by Bandina. This says 15-15-15, so 15% nitrogen. That's quite high. 15% phosphorus, 15% potassium. And what this is, let's take a look at it. You can tell this here is also chemical. It's, you know, I guess every color is represented by what it's got, either the nitrogen, the phosphorus, or the potassium. But this here is a chemical fertilizer derived in a factory and not derived by anything organic. But if you add these to your plants, it'll give your plants the macronutrients that it needs, but this product will not feed your soil organisms, and in fact may even kill your soil organisms. Could kill your earthworms, could kill the beneficial bacteria in your soil, can kill the mycorrhiza, beneficial fungi in your soil. So these products can actually do a lot of harm, even though it might give you some really great results for your plants. Let's take take a look at Miracle Grow and see what this looks like. So here you can see it. It's glowing blue. Look at that. This is not derived from any organic source. This is again factory made, and again may give you some good results for your plants, but is not going to be healthy food for your earthworms in your soil that your plants that your plants are wanting. The beneficial, again, bacteria, the beneficial nematodes, the beneficial bacteria, the whole life cycle, the whole life chain is affected when you actually put chemical fertilizers in your soil. I've given you a lot of organic solutions that you can actually use. If you want to give your plants a quick boost, use a liquid organic fertilizer. And if you want to actually do something that's a lot more easy and less manageable, then you can actually do something like this, which is either a spike or a granular form organic fertilizer, which will actually last for months in your garden at a time. And these are alternatives that will actually, again, feed your soil organisms, produce the carbon dioxide. It actually even warms your soil, which actually makes your plants grow even more vigorously and faster. So many benefits of actually farming organically. And most importantly, your organic fertilizers are going to end up in your plants. It's going to produce the food and the fruits that you and your family are going to get to enjoy as well. So if you get them from better sources, you're going to ultimately create better quality food as well for your family. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if so, be sure to like it. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe down below so you get connected to all of our other Ivory Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard educational gardening videos. Thanks for watching, and happy gardening.